This is getting to be a bit ridiculous, honestly. As if Trump isn't already in court enough, he has filed a defamation suit against ABC host George Stephanopoulos. And just like his other lawsuits in which he is the defendant, this one he's not expected to win either. Trump is suing George Stephanopoulos because he called Trump a rapist in reference to his relationship with E. Jean Carroll. Trump thinks it's bad for his brand to be associated with that word, so he is saying that this is defamation. But in order for something to be defamatory, it's supposed to be untrue. Problem is, the judge has already said that it is true. Trump did quote-unquote rape E. Jean Carroll, according to Judge Kaplan.
Congressman, thanks for joining us this morning. You've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me.
Has been indicted more times than elected and is currently in trial for 91 felony charges. And that's after being ordered to pay $83 million after a jury of his peers decided he was a rapist. That's the leader of the Republican Party.
And I'm sure that in Stephanopoulos' defense, he will remind everyone involved of exactly that. He's been in the game long enough. He knows what he's doing as a journalist. So you have to wonder why Trump would even bother with something like this at all. For one, it's costing him money to file this lawsuit, money that he does not have. He owes hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fees, and he is desperate for campaign cash. He just posted a $91 million bond in the E. Jean Carroll case, and he's currently working to secure another bond worth nearly $500 million. Naturally, there are plenty of questions as to where Trump is sourcing his money from. Trump's former personal attorney and fixer, Michael Cohen, has said that it's very possible that Trump is getting money from foreign governments. That means he's potentially beholden to foreign governments, and that is not a great thing for a potential president to potentially be. Second, he's highly unlikely to win this lawsuit against Stephanopoulos for reasons already mentioned. And third, this will only earn him more press in which his name will be mentioned in the same sentence or the same headline as the word rapist. So in his apparent effort to distance himself from that word, he's doing the exact opposite. The only reason that I can think of that Trump would want to pursue this course of action is for branding purposes. He's got to show his MAGA base that he's the tough guy that they think he is. He needs to show them that he's willing to be able to fight back against just one of the many injustices being lobbed against him. He needs to prove that at least he believes that he did not rape E. Jean Carroll, even though the details of his encounter with her have already come under legal and public scrutiny. And now, like in this video, people are only going to talk about it more and more. If his goal was to see something die down in the media, this is a very ineffective way of achieving that goal. On top of everything else, E. Jean Carroll, who has already successfully sued Trump twice, could potentially sue him a third time.
On July 19th, 2023, federal judge Lewis Kaplan rejected Donald Trump's request for a new trial and confirmed that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. I'm going to submit this court ruling into the congressional record, and now I'm going to read you what the judge found. On page 43, the judge wrote, Ms. Carroll testified that the sexual assault, the rape, of which she accused Mr. Trump, involved especially painful, forced digital penetration. The judge further writes, the testimony of the outcry witnesses, Ms. Birnbach and Ms. Martin, corroborated the essence of Ms. Carroll's account of a violent, traumatic sexual assault. On page 44, the judge wrote, the jury's finding of sexual abuse therefore necessarily implies that it found that Mr. Trump forcibly penetrated her vagina. The judge further writes, in other words, that he raped her.
You know, it's like the entire country right now, especially the Republican Party, is just in this battle with itself to not say sorry, to not say, hey, I messed up, to not say, hey, I was wrong. It's literally that, just on a grand macro scale. Because, you know, what y'all could do is just move on from Donald Trump and find somebody else, given the fact that we don't live in a monarchy, we don't live in an aristocracy, we don't live in a dictatorship or nothing along those lines. Like after 2024, Trump's done. It's literally done. And you're throwing all your eggs into a basket for somebody who legally can only have another 4 years in office if he were to win. But the fact is that, independents and swing voters more and more, as all of this heat piles up on top of Donald Trump, swing voters and independents aren't going to vote for Donald Trump. And this whole time, y'all could have been finding another Messiah, but you are literally going to go down with the ship.